look at issues on the border, and that is exactly what we are going to do today. Again, good morning. It's been quite a chilly one around here. Daniel, how do you do? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Femi.
Yeah. I'd like to ask about your night, but I think we stay close to one another. No matter talking about location, it's been quite chilly these days.
Yeah, not so chilly as I would have loved it. I want it even, cold. Exactly.
Colder.
Yeah, but it's cool anyways.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Away from the, excessive heat.
That we experienced almost this time last month.
Yeah.
It was quite hot.
Absolutely.
And the power supply wasn't really giving the way they would say it online at that time. But I think things are improving right now. It's
Absolutely.
good to see. Yeah.
And again, we have experienced that in this part of the world, a country, as we may say, most times it is during temperate, when the weather is not so hot, that's when we tend to have, more constant power supply, because probably they believe a lot of people will not be using all their appliances for cooling effects and all that. So
I wonder where you got that from.
That's what some people say. Absolutely. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Very good morning to you. Yes, you viewing this right now. Welcome to Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. My name is Emeka Daniel. Thank you once again for joining us. It promises to be a wonderful day, so you might want to stick around. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Femi,
right.
What do we have today? I'm sure we have a lot. A lot happened yesterday.
It's a lot is always on the table.
Yeah, something interesting happened yesterday. Right. House of Representatives. So a bill seeking to strip the vice president, governors, and deputy governors of immunity actually passed second reading. And a lot of people would say it's actually a good one, because Section 308 of the Nigerian Constitution confers immunity on the vice president, vice president, governors, and their deputies, exempting them from criminal and civil prosecution while in office. Now, the House of Rep members are saying, it's time to, strip these people of their immunity. They're actually trying to qualify the immunity of the president, then revoke, if I may say so, the immunity of the vice president, governors, and deputy governors. And of course, they will kick against it. The governors would kick against it. In the case of the vice president, Femi, you and I know that most times, what are the functions of the vice president? Okay, as delegated by the president. Exactly. So most times it's not really a big deal, but the big one there is that of the governors. Once the immunity clause is lifted, which means they'll be open to prosecution for criminal and civil cases. And that will be a very big one. And they are doing that. They say they are doing that to check impunity and corruption. What's your take on that?
It's a lot, actually, and many Nigerians are applauding it. So far, it's just the second reading. Passing through the third reading is another thing, and then it's such a huge and landmark, bill. And if it's passed and it's made into law, it will be something not seen in a long time. But then, let's look at the intention of the drafters of the Constitution. Why did they put immunity there in the first place? So we'll take it from there. And the spirit, there is a spirit and the letters of the Constitution. It's so that these principal officers, elected officials, concentrate on the real business of governance, because they feel if they are open to all kinds of prosecution while they are in office, they will be too distracted. Today, they are possibly answering a court case in a town. The next day, they are going to another place, and it might impugn on the smooth running of governance in that state. That's why they feel let them be exempted. By the way, if it's a criminal case, if there is anything criminal that they have done while they're in office, a criminal case or suit doesn't have an expiry date. Even after 8 years, you can
always be prosecuted later.
Yeah. So that is it, to forestall distractions of any kind. But then it seems that purpose have been flipped. And truly, what we have seen many times is a case of impunity, because they know you can't prosecute them while they're in office. And maybe before the expiration of their 4 years or 8 years, they might have covered their track or have enough money to frustrate any case that will be coming after their 8 years. And that's why you see some of them that leave office and 8 years, 12 years, they're still on a particular case because they have enough money.
Even after office, sometimes getting to question them becomes very difficult. Look at the case of Yahaya Bello.
They will have been big. The allegations against Yahaya Bello, for example, we have seen the case against Oji Uzokalo. You know, the case that went almost 12 years was quashed. And the court said, because of some technicalities about some judges who are not supposed to do one thing or another, let them go and restart the case. After 12 years of time wasting and resources at the time of Minlot at the court, that's one thing. Then number two is, are we sure this bill will pass through? Because some of them at that house have an intention of becoming governor one day. Many of them are senators.
So you think they might kick against it?
It's like they burning the bridge before they get there. You know, good intention, by the way, because things can always be reviewed. Absolutely. And if they see that the intention of the immunity is not serving the purpose for which it was meant for, why don't we review it? The third question is, why are they leaving out the president?
Absolutely.
In this case, you are proposing to strip off the immunity of the vice president,
which doesn't really matter, governor, in my own opinion.
The deputy governor. Why the president? You know, and that is just one of the bills. You know, this is a constitution. There is a constitutional review committee at the National Assembly, and 42 proposals were made. And one of them is just what we are talking about.
Absolutely.
There is a proposal for creation of additional states.
About 4 states.
About 4 states of them. And one of those states is being proposed to happen here in Osun State. We are here in Ife-Ijesha State. And many persons are already talking about that again. But then we look into that, you know, in the coming days. There is a lot, not just about that, but Nigerians just want to see the sincerity.
Absolutely.
Behind these amendments, these proposals that are being made. But the main issue is, why strip up the vice president's immunity, the governor's immunity, the proposal rather to strip off those persons and not the president?
Absolutely. We hope to see more, and let's see how this drama unfolds.
Well, it will be a lot. The papers are in. I will do justice to that right about now. Stay with us. All right, kickstarting the newspaper headline from the major dailies, where we look at the front pages of their dailies every day in the nation. And I will be kickstarting mine from the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian for today. National automotive policy in limbo. 136 billion investment stock. National automotive policy in limbo. 136 billion investment stock. That's quite some money there. The automotive policy, what is that meant for? And you can see the picture of a car being assembled, you know, being manufactured. How far have Nigeria gone with that policy? You know, we have some data to that. 58 assemblers spent $756 million in 5 years of NAIDP. $756 million been spent in 5 years of NAIDP. That's National Automotive Policy by 58 assemblers. Now, and then of the 58 firms, 20 closed operations in 2024. Wow, 58 firms, 20 closed shop in 2024. And of course, your guess is as good as mine. Now, only 6 are actively assembling vehicles, but with extremely low capacities car assemblage. And you can see many of them around here, you know, some of them from the eastern region. And this is part of what we're seeing. 58. You know, got that particular approval. 20 closed shop last year. That's only 6 are active right now.
That's about 34.5% failure. That's huge.
It means, so what has become of that policy? It's not working. Actually,
Absolutely.
that's just it. Away from that, concerns over spate of constitutional amendment delayed state police bill. State police is being considered. Even local government police is being considered as well. Concerns over spate of constitutional amendment. I take that again. Concerns over spate of constitutional amendment delayed state police bill. And Natasha in Senate, an error we are set to correct. Constituents insist, and it's about the recall. We talked about this yesterday. Natasha in Senate, an error we are set to correct. Who are they? What is the error? What is the process, quote unquote, of correcting such an error? And is this a unanimous decision, from those seeing her being at the Senate as an error? So many things to really talk about there. You can see the picture of the embattled senator there. Natasha put it on her. The suspended senator representing Kogi Central. And now, hope for cheaper drugs as federal government exempts duty, VAT on pharmaceutical raw materials. I think maybe this is one of the ways to go. And that can only work for those that are manufacturing pharmaceutical products in Nigeria. All right, it doesn't really go for those that are being imported. But maybe when VAT and duty is being exempted on pharmaceutical materials, to encourage local companies to manufacture more and delve into other, drugs as they would not before. Now, Shetima urges judiciary to uphold justice and integrity. Shetima urges a judiciary to uphold justice and integrity. I think they're not just the Shetima, everybody wants that. What we are doing about it is the main thing. Top strip. Rivers don't extend emergency rule beyond 6 months. Council tells Tinubu. Rivers don't extend emergency rule beyond 6 months. Council tells Tinubu. And disquiet as police probe alleged infiltration of National Assembly by Russian KGB. Disquiet as police probe alleged infiltration of National Assembly by Russian KGB. Interesting. Nigeria is a sovereign state. Absolutely. So what's the business of the KGB here?
Are we talking about our National Assembly here? Wow.
Well, are we sure who is making the allegation? Are we sure they are there? And what is the intelligence agency of Nigeria doing about that? Can't we identify them? And why are they there? If this could be established, then the question is, why are they here?
Absolutely, because we have a lot of foreign agencies here that we don't even know about.
Well,
we know of the CIA. They are everywhere.
So we have some of them that are legal. They are legally here, absolutely. Possibly working with their embassies and all of those. And that's the way Nigerians, intelligence community are littered all over the nations of the world as well. But in what capacity? What are they doing at the National Assembly? Are they hearing proceedings? Are they trailing people? If the allegations are true.
Well, Femi, if you ask me, if you want to spy on Nigeria, it is absolutely very easy.
I'm sure.
It is very easy.
I don't know about that.
I can tell you that for
Possibly
free.
You might get a call from the NSA for saying this on a live TV.
You should call me. I can tell you that for free because we are not there yet when it comes to even cyber security. I mean, we are not. Let's be sincere.
Are you saying we are not there yet? Cyber porous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Not only Nigeria, but the case of Nigeria now, I mean, what's the awareness like? We are not there yet. Most of our infrastructure are not.
But then Nigeria
anyway,
is a sovereign state.
Absolutely.
And so we should handle our business. If there are spying activities going on, then we should fish out who they are and what they are doing here. Because we can't. We might be so many things to so many people, but then this is still Nigeria. And we should handle our business. Now, over 26,000 children in prisons, says minister. Wow, that's discomforting to hear. 26,000 children in prisons. There are two questions for me there. Number one, are they children of inmates, or are they children that have been locked up?
Absolutely.
These are the questions. Because unfortunately, when you see people that go on prison outreach and interventions, all these lawyers without borders and people that go to correctional centers to seek to the state of the things and intervene in the cases of inmates. When they come back with their report, some of the things you hear, some of the things you see, you will cringe. That is this thing really happening? 26,000 locked away as children.
That's really worrisome.
Man,
children.
Man.
That's very
and then what will be their spirit? What will be their psyche, being in that confined area, possibly for sins that they know nothing about, just because they have been born in that place or possibly locked up with their parents. Who knows?
Absolutely. And the situation is so bad. There was this case of a particular inmate who has been there for so many years, and he said he doesn't even want to get out.
Interesting.
That at least he's getting, some food, little food to survive. That was there out there for him. What's he going to do if he gets out? Well, so some people have been psychologically traumatized, affected.
They have been
also notified Natasha. But interestingly, a federal high court judge in Lokoja actually gave an order restraining INEC from accepting the petition. So what happened? What is happening in Nigeria? We have so many orders that are not being complied with.
Well, the INEC has a legal department that will advise them on what to do. Now, when the case, when was it given? Was it before?
It was before submission, absolutely. Absolutely. So Natasha said, but they were saying that INEC shouldn't have accepted the petition. So we have a lot of drama in our legal system.
INEC is an institution of the government. I'm sure they know what to do.
Absolutely. Moving on to other stories on the Nigerian Tribune. Right there you see the picture. There are so many people that we have the wife of Nigeria's president, Senator Oluremi Tinubu. Sixth from left, we have wife of Vice President Hajia Nana Shettima. Then we also have the Delta State Governor, Honorable Sherif Oborivori, his wife, Dickness Oborivori, and wife of the deputy governor, that's Mrs. Catherine Oyeme, and Speaker, Delta State House of Assembly, Honorable Momotimi Gore, right there, and his wife, and of course some other people right there in Asaba yesterday for the Declaration of African First Ladies Development Summit right there. I'm just trying to paraphrase right there in Asaba yesterday. That was the South Zone in Asaba yesterday. That's a picture you have right there. You can go through that on the first page of the Nigerian Tribune. Moving on to other stories. Zenith Bank profit after tax soars above 1 trillion naira in full year 2024. Proposes 4 naira final dividend. Now this is massive. Zenith Bank profit after tax soars above 1 trillion naira in full year 2024. Proposes 4 naira final dividend. Remember when we talked about this the other day, the kind of profits our banks are making. Just look at the Nigerian bank, Zenith Bank, having a profit after tax of over 1 trillion naira. That's massive. It trickles down to those who are really doing the work.
I don't have issues, and banks and companies making good gains. That's why they're in business, actually. What I, however, have issues with is their condition of service. At their outlets, in their branches, some of them declare huge profits, but the service they render in some of their branches are very
patchy. And again, there are so many deductions from customers. Some necessary deductions.
Please level up. You're making trillions and billions, and level up. Like efficient. You could see in some of these banks that the existing staffers there, they are overworked and work overload. And that's why some of them are, they are a bit edgy when you approach them. You don't really see them. Maybe you go there 9 a.m., 10 a.m., they are still okay. By the time you get there around 1 p.m., they're already cracky and then overload.
I was actually trying to tease. I was trying to tease in one of the bank staff the other day saying, you guys are making so much money. And she said, hey, the money is not getting to me.
Ownership is different from possession.
Absolutely.
Possession is different from ownership.
Still on the Nigerian Tribune this morning, June 12th, motion to immortalize Humphrey Wonso fails. causes row in Senate. June 12, motion to immortalize Humphrey Wonsu fails, causes row in Senate. You'll find a story on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Rivers crisis, it's time for dialogue. And that's according to Bayelsa Governor. Rivers crisis, it's time for dialogue. With the rider pleads with Tinubu National Assembly to set up reconciliation committee. Pleads with Tinubu National Assembly to set up reconciliation committee. So now is the time for dialogue. What have you been doing all this while? That'll be all we're taking from the Nigerian Tribune.
All right. You read one of the headlines that you read was the one that we have in picture right now about the president being in Delta State. The wife of
the president, the first lady.
Did you see a video yesterday where she was in the midst of some nursing students and they sang a song, and those students were quite a funny character, and then I think a song was being led to honor and say she's the mother of the young people there. I think it was led by the master of ceremony, and the student refuted instead of our mother. They returned, and so many of them were deregistered. And now I think we have less than 20, and there are about 18 or 19 because some of the conditions is over time you will have a party house in every state, in every local government, and then you have elected officials, even if it's one, and many of them
they can't meet up with the requirements,
so they just have to be deregistered.
And again, what's the essence of having so many parties if they won't be functional?
And some of them, you just see them do transactional politics when it's the time for election comes, and you just see 15 of them will just come and say, oh, we are stepping down to supporting. By the way, you people don't even have anything. You see some of them go to elections, they don't even have election observer, even one. I'm not even sure the chairman will vote for his own party. These are some of the issues we have. But now, some groups are seeking for an registration as the coalition talks gather steam. 2027 is just less than 2 years away. Now, and with a rider to that saying, Electoral Birdie says no application rejected as opposition gears up to challenge ruling party. I'm sure, and I think, and it's expected that APC, the ruling party at the center, will have their hands full, in the days, the months leading to the general elections, because uneasy lies their head. That wears the crown. That was the same way they were everywhere. When I mean they, I mean APC were everywhere in 2014, 2015, when they were gearing up to, wrest power from the ruling PDP then, who told the people, please, they are going to be there for 50 years. But then they only spent 16 and they were booted off. Until now, at the national level, the PDP has just been running in circles. The latest is the restoration of the national secretary. Mr. Anyanwu, Ude Okoye and Anyanwu and all of those things. But now that the APC are in power, many persons too, figuratively and politically speaking, are gunning for their head. Absolutely. To say, you guys, in fact, there are some coalitions.
Number one is El-Rufai.
There are some coalitions that we've seen that they don't care who gets what. They just want APC to just leave.
Absolutely.
When they get to power, the battle for who gets what will now start. Begin. But for now, it's more like my enemy's enemy is my friend. You know what they say. And that's why we have so many coalitions. And with the level of people we have seen recently, sworn enemies before, they are coming together now to say, we are fighting. We know. But please come.
Let's come together.
This particular one
is a common enemy.
Let's get him off. Or let's get them off. We will now restart or re-strategize. And I think politics is quite interesting. As I always say, especially when you are watching from afar. Now, below that particular big bolded line, we have Ogun. Morocco signed MOU on energy, port development, and infrastructure. And you can see the number one Ogun man there, Governor Dapo Abiodun, with the Executive Vice President, General Confederation of Employers in Morocco, Ali Zerovali. And then on that matter, Daniel, something comes up, and I'm sure it will be in the minds of many Nigerians as well, that when state governments, national, and federal government, all of these people, they are signing MOU. This is the time that Nigerians would like to go and kneel and beg them and say, I beg check. Because these days now, that after 3 or 4 years, one company will just come and say, oh, a particular state government or the government of the nation have not fulfilled a particular part of a contract,
yes.
And then go and seize our national asset. I beg you. Can you please read?
Especially China. I'm saying
in this case, it's about Morocco.
Yeah, this one is Morocco. Now I'm saying especially China because sometimes these Chinese contracts are written in Chinese language. At some point, some people raise the alarm. You people should be careful before you sell.
Sign out.
Exactly.
And you won't follow up.
Your territorial sovereignty.
The case of the P and ID, it's only God and sheer brilliance of eminent Nigerians that saved, and the court that saved Nigeria from having his critical assets seized by a company that signed agreement with Nigeria in time of oil, and because Nigerians and the people who represented us at that time were reckless and careless and wicked, 10 years later or thereabout, this company just came back and said, we had an agreement. You are supposed to do this. We did this. And because you didn't do this, we are entitled to this. And they were now pointing choice assets of Nigeria. Now Ogun has signed an MOU with Morocco. We hope the governor, all his assistant advisors went through properly. And this is not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of concern. Concern. Absolutely. Thank you. Let's read it through, because this one that they are, you can see that image that they are posting for pictures and people are smiling. I hope that thing is not written in Arabic.
Thankfully, we have people who understand Arabic.
And even if it's written in Arabic, it will be translated to English. Absolutely. So that we know. Subsection 1A or 1A, 1B. What did you write here? Let's see what's there, so that we don't wake up with touching stories one day and you discover that Abeokuta now belongs to a particular country. All right. Now, reps move to convert 37 Lagos LCDAs to LGs. Of course, it's no more popular, the issue of LCDAs. But the thing is, now, if 37 local council development areas are now converted in Lagos to local governments, now currently Lagos has 20. It will become 57 local government areas. All right. And then, what kind of push?
Increase in expenses.
What kind of push that one will do to other states as well, who have been agitating for more local government? Because what they will say is what makes Lagos special. Lagos is special. We know. Everybody knows. Center of excellence, center of commerce in Nigeria, former, capital of the country, and all of those things. We know.
My hometown.
All right. Now, if Lagos gets that, and it's one of those bills, those 42 bills that are being proposed, 57 local government. Well, many persons will say maybe Lagos deserves it because Kano has 44. Why will Lagos have 20? These are some. Even Osun has 30. Lagos has 20 with different LCDAs.
Well, Femi, if you talk about the number of local government, let's also consider the size in terms of land mass. Yeah. I mean, Osun is larger than Lagos. So maybe that's, some people argue that Lagos is not really large in terms of land mass.
But is it about the land or the people?
Yeah, the population. I think if you're looking at
only Kosofe local government covers many, the people there, rather.
Absolutely.
They are bigger than many of these. We'll wait to see how that will go. And, politically speaking, people will be hinging, eyeing, and saying, Mr. President, is it not that Mr. President is just getting whatever he wants for his home state? Because these are some of the things. Absolutely. The issue of the stripping of immunity from deputy, vice, and governor, how come he's not touching Mr. President? Okay. Number one. Two, now, Lagos wants to have an extent or a conversion of 37 LCDAs into LGs. Whose hands are you seeing behind the scene? I'm saying nothing, actually. Now, traffic snarl as motorists battle flood on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Here we go again. For people that know that road, whenever the rains are back, you cannot be sure. Especially that Kara Long Bridge is quite known for that. Traffic snarl as motorists battle flood on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And this is the time that we might complain about the condition of Nigerian roads and all of those things. But then we have a duty to be sensible. The issue I have with some Nigerians is the fact that that some roads are bad and you are still speeding. That's the issue. Do you have a death wish or something? Anyway, if you have a death wish, can you just travel alone? You cannot have a death wish as a commuter
for the sake of other road users.
That's just it. If you are going to die alone.
Absolutely.
You cannot be a commercial bus driver having almost 18 people in your bus and you have a death wish. Go home and do that? Why we are not promoting that, by the way? Now, new constitution, Anyoku Yakasai or Shoba to meet National Assembly. Emeka Anyoku, former Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Tanko Yakasai, and Aremoluke Olusegun Shoba. Now, review hike in data cost, Senators NCC. I think this one will resonate with many Nigerians.
Absolutely.
A downward review, because sometimes you are not even these days you are not even sure of what's going on. It's really killing the price, because whatever you used to get for 300 naira now, before, it's now being sold for now around 850, 900 naira, and it was even the quality.
Absolutely. Some have even become 4 times more expensive. Cost of data,
you can imagine,
4 times more expensive.
We hope instead of the Natasha braggadocio and all of these issues, maybe you should do something for the people, directly for the people as well. But then the telcos have given their reasons to say they can't keep on doing business the way they have done it before with the latest economic issues that we have. Legal profession facing ethical challenges, says CGN. Now, it's good to identify the issue, but if the CGN is talking about the issue, who will provide the solution? Here, possibly Emeka Daniel has some solutions rolled in his sleeves.
Always.
The CGN is complaining.
Always.
So,
I always have solutions.
All right.
Let them pay for consultation.
All right. With that, what you have just said, I'm sure you should expect some invoice from the marketing department. Natasha recall, INEC notifies Senate as constituent amend petition. Interesting. Now, state opposed bill seeking immunity removal from VP governors deputies. You expect there will be a rebound, definitely. And lastly, from the front page of the Punch, Rivers emergency rule. PDP governors ask Supreme Court to reinstate Fubara Ibas, sacks appointees. Interesting days ahead. That will be all from the Punch.
From the Punch newspaper, we move straight to the Daily Trust newspaper. On the Daily Trust, immunity debate. What is good for president is good for vice president.
Interesting.
Immunity debate. What is good for president is good for vice president. Absolutely. And that's talking about the constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
From the top strip of the Daily Trust newspaper, Lakurawa kills two customs officers, one other in Kebbi. Lakurawa kills 2 customs officers, one other in Kebbi. That's quite an unfortunate one there. Senate pushes for lower data prices. Senate pushes for lower data prices. At least that's one thing for the ordinary Nigerian. Still from the top strip of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, recall, INEC confirms petition, notifies Natasha. Recall, INEC confirms petition, notifies Natasha. 112 persons killed in Nigeria tanker explosions in 3 months.
God have mercy.
112 persons killed in Niger tanker explosions in 3 months. That's massive. That's quite an unfortunate one. We've been having cases of tanker explosions, and we do hope that precautionary measures, stricter precautionary measures should be taken to avoid such occurrences, wanton loss of lives and property. And we do hope that the authorities will look into that. From the bottom strip of the Daily Trust newspaper, CJN raises concern over unethical conduct of lawyers. Chief Justice of Nigeria raises concern over unlawful conduct, unethical conduct of lawyers. Niger's Chani sworn in for 5-year transition period.
Interesting.
Niger's Chani sworn in for 5-year transition period. I hope I got that pronunciation right there. Zenith Bank's earning hit 3.97 trillion naira, records 1.3 trillion naira profits before tax. We read that earlier on. So they actually had 1.3 trillion naira profit before tax and still had over 1 trillion naira profit after tax. That's a huge one. And that'll be all from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. That brings us to an end to the newspaper review. When we return, we're going on a short break right now. Please stay with us. When we return, the program continues.